The world is on the edge of a catastrophic showdown in the Middle East, and no one is talking about the most shocking part. Iran has been preparing for this moment for years, and now they're ready to unleash a wave of destruction like nothing we've seen before. But here's the thing. This might not be a one-off event. It could be the beginning of something much bigger. Imagine this: U.S. military bases and Israeli infrastructure wiped off the map in just a matter of days. What happens next? That's the real question. Stick around, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you understand the situation. So, what exactly is going on here? The tension between Iran and Israel is far from new, but what we're seeing now is different. This isn't just a random series of incidents. This is part of a much larger pattern that's been building for years. Iran has been under pressure from both internal unrest and external threats, but the stakes have never been higher. The Iranian government, already on edge, is now making moves that could change everything. But here's the kicker. You haven't heard the full story. What exactly does Iran have in mind, and why is Israel suddenly panicking? And more importantly, why is the U.S. still sitting on the sidelines? Here's where things get real. Iran has shown the world they're not just talking, they're ready to act. And they've been sending clear signals to anyone paying attention. Take this. Recently, Iranian forces took out a series of high-profile targets in Israel. What might seem like a random missile strike was actually a precise message. Iran is telling Israel, we know everything and we can hit wherever we choose. And this wasn't just a warning, it was a full demonstration of power. Notice what's missing here. Despite Israel's response, they didn't exactly retaliate with the same force. Why? Because Israel knows they've been exposed. But it doesn't stop there. This situation is rapidly escalating, and it's not just about Iran and Israel anymore. Think back to previous conflicts, the kind that started small but quickly spiraled out of control. What's happening now feels eerily familiar, but the stakes are much higher. The reality is, Israel and Iran have been playing a dangerous game for years. But now, Iran has reached a tipping point. They're no longer waiting to react. They're on the offense. The notion that this is just another round of retaliation, it's far from the truth. What we're witnessing is a shift in strategy, and if Israel's leadership doesn't adjust quickly, the consequences could be catastrophic. The fight isn't just about territory, it's about survival. Now let's talk about the next layer to this crisis, something much darker. The evidence is mounting. Iran isn't holding back, and Israel is caught in a dangerous game of catch-up. What's more concerning is the deep contradiction between Israel's public stance and their actions. Despite all the diplomatic rhetoric, Israel knows they're vulnerable. Iranian missiles are becoming more accurate, more deadly, and more unstoppable. The key takeaway here? Israel may have been betting on U.S. intervention, but if that doesn't come through, they're in serious trouble. This isn't just about defending borders anymore. It's about Israel's very existence. And if the Iranians get the chance to hit first, they won't hesitate. Things are moving fast now. Within days, we could see multiple crises unfold at once. First, there's the escalating military conflict between Israel and Iran. Each step forward feels like the point of no return. But that's not all. We're also witnessing a rapid unraveling of geopolitical alliances. The U.S. has been urged to hold off on launching strikes, even from within Israel's own ranks. The panic is setting in. Meanwhile, Iran is pushing forward, not just with military strikes, but with a broader strategy to destabilize the region. But here's the real question. What happens if this continues? What happens if the attacks escalate beyond anyone's control? We could be looking at a domino effect that pulls in more countries, causes untold damage, and shatters global security. Now, let's take a step back and focus on something even more urgent: the real-world consequences. This isn't just about governments and military strategies. It's about the people who live through these crises every day. Imagine you're an ordinary citizen in Israel or Iran. Your life is turned upside down as missiles fly overhead, power grids collapse, and every move you make could be your last. But here's the kicker: the rest of the world might barely notice. While elites play their dangerous games, it's everyday people who pay the price. If you can feel the weight of that, if it resonates with you, let me know in the comments. This isn't just a war between nations. It's a war for the survival of the people who have nothing to do with these power struggles. But it's not just about the violence, it's about the systems that enable this to happen. Think about the leverage at play here. The global powers pulling the strings, the military-industrial complex, the media that shapes narratives. Iran's actions aren't just random. They're part of a larger strategy to break free from external pressures and influence. And that's where it gets unsettling, because these power structures, fear, leverage, spectacle, are what drive these wars, not just the actions of a single regime. What we're seeing now is a result of decades of built-up tension, manipulation, and the willingness of those in power to sacrifice ordinary lives for their own agendas. This isn't just a conflict, it's a systemic flaw in how global politics works, and it's one that no one seems ready to fix. So, what happens next? There are two possible paths here, and neither of them is pretty. One option, the conflict escalates beyond control, triggering an all-out war that spreads across the region and disrupts global economies. Oil prices skyrocket, the flow of goods halts, and entire nations go to the brink of collapse. The second option, a tense stalemate where both sides pull back, but the damage has already been done. Trust is shattered, alliances are redefined, and the world enters a new phase of uncertainty. The worst part? We don't know which path we'll take, but what we do know is that the wheels are already in motion. The next move is just around the corner, and it might already be too late to stop it. And here's the most unsettling part of all. The future of this conflict isn't just about what happens between Israel and Iran. It's about what happens to the entire world. The system is broken, and no one's in control anymore. What started as a regional issue could spiral into something that fundamentally alters the global order. If this conflict continues, it will reshape not just the Middle East, but the entire balance of power across the globe. So ask yourself this: how close are we to a point of no return? One thing is certain, the next move is already in motion, and we all have a front row seat to history in the making. If you want to stay ahead of the story, make sure you're following for more insights and updates.